It's Tuesday. You know what that means. It's time for Ignition with the AEW Fan Hub podcast team. Tonight, we are coming to you live on YouTube, X, and Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. Also, please comment in the chat so we can share your thoughts during the show. If you prefer to listen to our audio podcast, you'll be able to find it in a few hours on your favorite listening platform. We're ready to go. So let's light the fuse and get the show going. This is Kelson.
And this is Jess. I'm just breaking in here to let you know that if you like this podcast and want to see more of us, look us up for all your AEW news needs on Instagram, Reddit, Twitter, Blue Sky, and Threads now. Yes. And if you just like us and want to hang out with us, look up the Everything Pro Wrestling Discord server. We're all hanging out there. We don't bite. And speaking of people who don't bite, let me throw it back to Kelson.
I do bite. I used to get in trouble at daycare all the time. I bite tremendously. Not as bad as Barry and Sutton. I've heard that they're terrible.
Listen,
Is that true?
you're not supposed to tell them. That was between me and you, dude. I mean, come on.
It's not as much biting as like adjusting the settings on my dentures. You need to get some force on that to make sure I got the
well, and of course,
sitting right.
Yeah, and MK and Chris are the wedgie kings of the podcast. So, but let's move on. We are going to talk about something. I think MK brought this up. The fact that, well, the international championship was it a casualty maybe of the C2 because the championship hasn't been defended in like 3 months. I mean, there are other championships as well, like the Trios Championship. I mean, that's only been defended like 6 times in the last since April or something like that. Is it a casualty of the C2 that these belts are not being defended? What do you think?
It definitely is. I would say it is, considering Okada's older and he was wrapped up for the whole Continental Classic. I am wondering, after it was the whole unified belt, I don't even want to get into how stupid that was with your one champion, your 3 champions, blah blah blah. When he defended that, would it count as an international defense as well? Because I feel like he did defend it, maybe at the next pay-per-view after All In.
I think you're highlighting the problem, Chris, is that nobody cares.
Yeah. Well, and nobody really.
That's the point. Nobody cares because if there's a problem with AEW is they have too many titles. And I think when they brought out the unified title, most fans, and I can't speak for everybody here, but based on what I read online, thought the unified title was getting rid of the Continental and getting rid of the International and making one belt and removing one, But we're wrong. And now, to everybody's point, what do you do with yet another belt you don't defend on TV on a regular basis? I say get rid of it. You got the national title now, too. We have another one. They added another title, for crying out loud. Get rid of some of these.
Yeah, the national makes sense to me more than the international, in my opinion. I'd rather have the national where it tours.
Wait, I need to point this out. We had an international title. The term is international. Concept, global, multiple flags on it. What title did they say is going to be defended internationally and across other promotions?
The national.
Exactly.
Does that make any sense? Like, what?
That is the same problem I have. That was literally what the originally All Atlantic title was. Dumb name, but still. That's what it was. And it worked well with Pac holding it. He went to other places. They put those up on their YouTube, and then even when it switched to international, you still had that a little bit, and then it just became an AEW specific title and now you've introduced another title that's what that title was supposed to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tony loves the All Japan Triple Crown. He's tried to recreate it twice now, and
It
it's
doesn't work in
just let
America,
it go.
though.
Yeah, just let it go because it was
I
the
think
Triple Crown because all of them were always defended together. It was one title. He wants the Triple Crown, but wants three separate titles, and it's just like no, just
Yeah, like
all right.
it
I need to
should
stop.
be.
I'm yeah.
It realistically should be simple. World title, top guys, main event, international title, the next guy up. Like that's where it should be, the upper mid, some mid. TNT, make that a TV title, have it defended regularly, have it change hands on a fairly regular basis. And then the national you can use as your workhorse title. Continental, get rid of it, make it where it's like a briefcase, like the G1. Winner gets their title match at Revolution.
I would keep the Continental belt, and it's just like an Owen Hart Memorial. It's like the Owen Hart tournament belt. You're just awarded it after you win the tournament, like they do the big trophy for the G1. That's fine. It shouldn't be a defended title.
No, it shouldn't. It should be, yeah. Well, but you defend it in the classic, though.
That's fine. What maybe the
Yes.
previous winner is an auto entry or whatever. Who
Yes.
cares? But it's not a defended title outside of the C2.
Exactly. I agree.
No, I agree. The unified title, Barry, you said something about the unified title that nobody cared about it. I don't think a lot of people just understood it.
It's really
Yeah.
Let me
pretty.
clarify. Let me clarify. When I say nobody cares, it was to your point is like when was the last time the international title was defended or whatever. Once they brought that thing out, it became so convoluted that like who cares? Like just never mind. I'm venting. I don't know why this
No,
got me so
well,
worked up.
I've got another one for you, Jess. I want to hear your opinion on this too, because I saw that you started to break in, but I wanted to add a little bit more of a fuel to the fire a little bit. The TNT Championship, which is a television championship. When was the last time that was defended on TV? Mark Briscoe beat Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship. Since that time, he's had one defense against Daniel Garcia. That's it. Briscoe was not in the C2. Uh, why are we having these belts that are not defended? The Trios Championship I mentioned earlier is another one that is just. I mean, the defenses on that are not even really good. They're just kind of thrown together a little bit, I
Yeah.
guess you could say.
Yeah.
Well, I did say, I believe we were discussing this last week about all the title belts, and I said if I had to choose one to axe, it would be the trios titles because there's so much potential there, but not much is really done with them. But to be fair to Mark, the C2 for the last month or so has sort of been clogging up everything. It's sort of dominated the show, which I don't mind. I love the C2. But now that it's over, we should probably get more back into an even swing of things, and we'll probably see it defended.
He's defending it Saturday at Collision against Hechicero.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. I mean, we've got AEW needs to get if they want to do these belts. There's not a problem doing these belts, but they've got to make them mean something. And the only way you can
Bingo.
make them mean something is by having not only title defenses, but meaningful title defenses. A meaningless belt with meaningless title defenses that are just thrown together a few days before look, Mark Briscoe is defending the TNT title against Hechicero. What has Hechicero done to earn a title shot?
He beat
He
Commander on Collision in the number one contenders match.
Yeah,
like they
but
set that up.
okay, but great. Okay, what did Commander and Hechicero do to earn a number one contendership match? In my estimation, nothing.
They're really
So
great wrestlers that are fun to watch.
True.
let Kelson, I want to. So I think you were kind of hitting on. I don't know, if inadvertently maybe, but one of the problems Tony has with booking titles isn't the titles. I don't remember who just said it. It's not the number of titles, it's how he's handling them. He doesn't like to beat champions. He has a problem beating champions, even when he's not doing anything with the titles. The trios titles, case in point, there is no trios program for the ops. The trios titles would be perfect for the, and I've said this before in the podcast, not that I expect everybody to remember. They should be the party belts. You throw in 6-man all-star tags, like the castle runners are there. You can put together some fun teams of people you don't have anything else to do with, throw them together, get them in some programs. But the TNT title is the TV title. To somebody else's point, it should be defended, and he needs to start hot potatoing. That is the low card belt. How do you build people up? You build people up by running them through programs, giving them some wins, give them a short title ring with a low card belt to see if they get heat to move them up. And if you're too scared to beat champions on TV, then none of these titles are going to mean anything, and they don't, because he doesn't run programs with any of them. Well, not any of them, but enough of them. It's bad because there's too many titles.
Barry, wasn't it you that also said that you believed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you said
Mhm.
in the past that you believed the national title should be a party title as well.
Yeah, I thought I thought initially before they said it, the national title was going to be like the TV party match title. And, Ricochet's putting on bangers, and that's great, but they need a they need a party match title, man. It's their jam.
Yeah,
Just turn
well,
the trios
but
into it,
again,
or something.
even with Ricochet,
Yeah.
where's the story behind
I don't know.
these title defenses?
Well,
That's my issue with any title. You can't just treat them as, okay, we're going to put on a title match for no apparent reason.
I want to be clear on something before all the nerds chime in. AEW doesn't tell stories. The problem is there's too many belts to tell stories with. You can only do
Right.
it with a few, and that's the issue. That's why so many of them don't mean anything, because there's not enough TV to have feuds that mean something for all of these belts. There's
see,
just too many.
I got to disagree with that because of the simple
Okay,
fact is, here's the reason. The problem with the last month and a half has been the C2.
sure, yeah.
You cannot expect, I think it was Jess that said a little bit ago, Mark Briscoe, everybody's complaining Mark Briscoe's only had one title defense. Who's he going to defend it against when everybody's in the C2? So Tony, yeah, I agree. Tony, there may be one or two too many belts. I think that they need to. The biggest problem I have with it is you have ROH and AEW. You have way too many belts coming back and forth. You need to get some of these belts off of AEW, put them in ROH where you can get them more exposure, get them done, and keep them separate, because you already have 7, 8, 9 belts in AEW. When you bring those ROH belts over, the TV belt, the trios belt, the tag team belts, the what's the other one? The pure title. You have those getting done in pay-per-views and on TV. That takes away time for your regular belts. Tony's got a problem with being able to work on major storylines for belts at the same time when he's got other things going on. And that's part of the problem with AEW.
Isn't another issue too? Like if you've got this many belts, how do you develop characters and feuds away from a title match too? Because like you've got to build people up away from title matches so we care about them when they get their run and challenge.
They need another 2-hour show. Honestly,
they have too many belts for the amount of TV. Like anyway.
They need a
Yeah.
2-hour show, a different 2-hour
I've talked too
show.
much.
If you do it on YouTube, do it on YouTube. But you need another 2-hour show to be able to do that with, or bring back Dark.
I wanted to break in here.
Yeah.
Matt
I agree.
Lopez is in the chat. Matt, thank you for joining the chat. Matt is a mainstay on the Everything Pro Wrestling Hub Discord server. I gotta say something about Matt here. I don't know how he does it, but the Everything Pro Wrestling Hub Discord server encompasses all of pro wrestling. Whether you're a fan of WWE, NXT, AEW, ROH, Lucha Libre, Joshi, Indies, whatever, Matt Lopez is going to put news for all of those different promotions and wrestling. I mean, I'm surprised Matt doesn't put the match that was just held at the corner of Main Street and Oak Street in my hometown on the news. He really does go far and beyond to make sure that everybody on the Discord is informed. If you're interested in wrestling news, the Everything Pro Wrestling Hub Discord server is the place to go, and a lot of that has to do with the efforts of Matt Lopez. And look, the link to the Everything Pro Wrestling Hub Discord is on the bottom of your screen right now. But if you're listening to this on our audio podcast only, uh, the link to the Everything Pro Wrestling Hub Discord will be in the description. So back to this particular topic because I find it interesting. I'm going to say something here that I think people are going to find very uninteresting, and I know that a couple of people will agree with me because we've said it in the past. When it comes to AEW, traditionally, I think the weakest part of the year is Forbidden Door season. Because Forbidden Door, I've gone on record of calling it the great momentum killer. I don't know if you guys feel that way. Now, last year's Forbidden Door was not that way because there wasn't a whole lot of Forbidden Doorish in Forbidden Door last year. I'm beginning to feel the same way about the Continental Classic. I am one of the people that do not enjoy the Continental Classic as much as I should. And I think the reason for that is I think it should be spread out a little bit more. It should start earlier. It should end earlier because I've said it before and I'll say it again. You cannot end a Continental Classic qualifying matches to determine who's going to be in the semifinals of the Continental Classic on what was it? New
2 days.
Year or Christmas Eve, 2 days before the pay-per-view. That is just not enough time. Sure, the pay-per-view did really well as far as buys, and it was a great pay-per-view. The story behind the pay-per-view sucked. I'm just gonna
Well,
say it.
and the problem with the Continental Classic for me is if you go back and listen to our prediction show, I missed the finals by one person. I had Pac versus Moxley, and the other semifinal, Okada versus Takeshita, was who I picked. The only one I missed was Pac. It's too
Right.
predictable. It's always been predictable. It's always gonna be predictable. If you want to do the Continental Classic right, you
I
can't.
don't think that was predictable at all.
Yeah,
Oh, of course
yeah,
it was.
Sutton. If I may,
Really,
like, I don't,
you
I don't
get to
think
the finals?
anybody, I don't think anybody except for maybe you, Sutton, saw it coming. I didn't.
Well, to me, I mean, if I see it coming, there's a problem. I mean, seriously. I mean, yeah, I've been watching wrestling for a long time, but you knew when Okada and Takeshita were in the final or were in the match, you knew those two were going to be in a semi. That was the only way to do it right. And the whole they took the storyline of having Moxley getting his butt kicked by everybody, and then it just sort of instead of doing it where they could have got rid of those guys, they just kind of dropped it, and now everything's like gone. So it was just like they just to me, Tony misses a lot of opportunities sometimes when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, one of my biggest complaints with the tournaments that Tony has run over the years is kind of like what Sutton has said. He telegraphs it really bad. I mean, look, everybody knew that Eddie Kingston was winning the first C2, so why was it even there? The matches were great. Don't get me wrong. The matches were enjoyable, but it's AEW. You could put matches anywhere on AEW TV, and they're going to be good.
Yeah, but this one really, I don't remember people saying that Okada was going to lose or Moxley was going to win. I remember people thinking Takeshita was going to advance, but I don't remember people flat out thinking Mox was just going to come back and roariously do it.
When we did our AEW World's End prediction show and a Continental Classic
I was
prediction
there.
show,
Yeah.
I know that there was four people there. Two of us picked Okada and Moxley to be in the finals. Now, I don't think anybody expected Moxley to win, but we had Moxley and Okada in the finals, not Takeshita and not Fletcher.
I sure
Yeah,
didn't. I don't.
But none of us picked Moxley to win.
None of us picked Moxley to win. So that was a pleasant surprise. That was a pleasant surprise. It really was.
So, I mean, there was some stuff that was predictable, but to say the whole tournament was predictable is not really fair.
I sometimes tournaments like this aren't everybody's cup of tea, and I think that's okay. It not appealing to Kelson or MK for different reasons, or I'm sorry, Kelson or Sutton for different reasons. I think that's okay. There's going to be stuff that just doesn't land because it's just not somebody's cup of tea, and that's fine.
Well, yeah,
Um,
but it was
yeah,
used for people getting over though,
right. So here's
like
one of
Kevin
the
Knight. Then
things
they got
I
over
don't
it.
necessarily disagree with the predictability standpoint. They've been building to Takeshita and Okada facing off for months, guys. Like, it was going to happen at some point. They picked the C2 to be the first. So I don't see a problem with that storyline. It's like being angry that you can kind of tell where the season of a TV show is going. It's okay to know. It's the journey, and is it entertaining as they go there? What I like about the C2 is less the end of it, as much as the semis and finals are always great from a match perspective, but it's the earlier matches. Where are the surprises going to happen? And that's the part I love about the C2 the most is the first 2 or 3 rounds, there's upsets. And there has to be because he always books it until the semi, you can't tell who the finalists are going to be until that last week, especially like this year, I think for the gold or the blue, the whole you didn't know at all. Like you had to go through that whole episode of Collision to figure out who was going to make it.
Right.
But
And that
the,
episode of Collision was on Christmas night.
I'm not disagreeing with the stretched out thing either. I do think it's too condensed. I think it's not in a great time of year. Maybe that's why Tony does it because it's traditionally some of the lowest viewed television spots of the year. I don't get it. But I think the strength of the C2 actually is the earlier part. Their surprise wins to get people over. When Jack Perry got that victory, suddenly people gave a crap about him in this tournament. He wasn't just a plug and play guy. And he was a lot of fun to watch. There was a lot of people that were fun to watch because of those early upsets. Because after that's established, everybody knows any match can be an upset. I didn't think Okada was going to lose the match he did to Kyle Fletcher, but he did, and that was great.
Yeah, I mean, look at when Speedball Mike Bailey won that match against Fletcher. I mean, that literally put Bailey on the map, in my
Crazy,
opinion.
isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. And
I
that's what
mean,
tournament style things
yeah,
like this can do.
Yeah,
They
I
give you a
just
reason to put people over outside of a story.
just do the tournament, start it a couple of weeks earlier, even
Yeah, I
3 or 4
agree with that.
weeks earlier, have less C2 matches a week, and end it at least a week before earlier so that we're not
Ke-
watching on Christmas Eve and Christmas night to figure out who's going to be in arguably the biggest tournament in AEW.
would you prefer it like if maybe they did the C2 the way they did the women's tag team tournament? That lasted quite a while. That was pretty stretched out.
It
I thought that was too drawn out too much, in my opinion.
that was drawn out too much. I agree.
I think they should start it. I don't even know, one of the pay per views in the fall, late summer. They should start it after that. Have one match a week in each one. Have the gold on Wednesdays and the blue on Saturdays. Run one every week. You have 10 weeks of shows to do, and make it more drawn out because it would add more excitement because you have that anticipation.
Right, right. Well, look, we could talk about this forever, but we do need to move on because it's kind of the same thing. We have the Don Callis family. Um, they've been not as dominant as they've been lately. If I'm not mistaken, uh, Josh Alexander lost to John Moxley in an eliminator match. Okada, he lost the C2 um, finals, and we have Takeshita, who just recently lost his match and lost the IWGP World Championship at Wrestle Kingdom 20. Um, what does the Don Callis family need to do to recoup? And do you think that Andrade is returning to the Don Callis family sooner than later. What do you think
I
about
hope not.
Andrade?
I
Not
I
not
hope
don't.
it
that not,
doesn't.
not that I don't like Andrade. I love him. I just think the Callis family's too damn big.
Yeah, they need to get better and to survive this. Takeshita needs to go out, become a face. Okada needs to go on his own, and it needs to condense some. Get rid of everybody and anybody that's like, you got Wardlow in that picture. It should come down to like Josh Alexander and Hechicero and a couple other guys. If you want to bring Andrade in, that's fine. But get the two of the biggest stars in AEW are they just don't need to be in this group.
I have a specific question I want to ask Chris. Are you with me here, Chris?
Yeah.
In New Japan Pro Wrestling, we have some wrestlers who are part of the, well, now defunct Bull Club War Dogs, um, that are, I believe, going to be under dual contract very soon. All of them, meaning uh, Gabe Kidd, Clark Connors, and a couple of others. You know who I'm talking about. You're the expert here on New Japan. I think that we may see those guys battle with the Don Callis family. What do you think about that?
I could see it as a possibility. I know who you're talking. We got David Finlay, Clark Connors, Gabe Kidd, and I think Drilla Maloney's contract
Right.
is
That
up
that
as
they
well. I
they
mean,
they all
the
are.
core of the War Dogs, which, you know, I I didn't watch all of the backstage comments, but they didn't really seem on board with Yota Tsuji's whole thing. So yeah, I mean it's definitely possible they could decide to
What's
do
the name
more
of
with
the
AEW.
new faction? Um,
Unbound Company.
yeah, Unbound Company. I couldn't remember if it was Unbound or unaffiliated. Yeah, but the War Dogs are no.
They were unaffiliated.
Yeah, so now, I mean, personally, I think that you're going to be seeing a lot more of dual contracts between AEW and New Japan.
I
I
think
think
so as
that's the
well,
direction we're
and
going.
especially because, just like you look at New Japan shows, a lot of their road too, it's Japanese wrestlers or it's, the foreigners who are actively living in Japan right now. Like, the economy is still struggling, so they're not going to be bringing in, the guys from the US and the guys from the UK nearly as much. So yeah, I could definitely see, the War Dogs and some others being like, we want to work, so we're going to go do AEW for a while, and then, we'll come over for tournaments. We'll come over for big shows.
Right.
So yeah, you could see an influx of talent from there. I could see, the War Dogs or whatever name they end up doing coming and fighting Don Callis family, especially if Andrade does come back, because they just, went against him at Wrestle Kingdom with him being the financier of the new United Empire.
Right. So that brings another thing. So all of that could make it more interesting with Forbidden Door. Maybe actually have a real build up. I personally, when it comes to Forbidden Door, I don't want to see title matches. I want to see rivalries. Because let's face it,
I want to,
AEW title matches are not going to go well for the Japanese wrestlers in Forbidden Door. So
yeah,
what's
we
the
don't
point in
need
having
title
them?
matches. Make it rivalries. Make it stable wars. I said
Absolutely.
I'd love to see a trios cup where you have, say maybe two teams from AEW, two teams
See,
from
I
New
don't want to see that
Japan.
because you know right off the bat if they do a trios cup and AEW is going to win it. It doesn't
Well, I
matter.
was
It
going to
doesn't.
suggest you
Yeah.
also have an all-star team. One AEW, one New Japan, one
Right.
CMLL. So then, and you have them win it because that way every company gets to, show off,
Exactly.
their talent. Like, but it wouldn't be like, oh, obviously they're gonna win
Right.
because you make it where, the CMLL team is maybe like Sky Team against
Right.
the
Right.
Dark Order.
All right, well,
So you
let's
can
let
have the
I
CMLL. Yeah, I'm rambling.
yeah,
Sorry.
you are rambling a little bit and saying the same thing over and over again. But I do want to bring up something else with Konosuke Takeshita, is that, and I have to. By the way, I have to apologize because I think I called Okada Kazuchika Okada earlier, and I sincerely meant to say Kazuchika Okada, his proper, But anyway, it was reported just last week, that Takeshita's contract, his dual contract with New Japan Pro Wrestling, was expiring at the end of January. Well, he has now re-upped that, according to Fightful. I believe it was that reported it. So Takeshita has re-signed with New Japan. So that's good. I believe he's also signed to DDT. So he's got 3 contracts that he's working under. But anyway, I personally think that when it comes to Forbidden Door, I think that's what we're working toward, is that the Don Callis family is going to play a big role in Forbidden Door and the stories about Forbidden Door. I really do. Let's move on. Um, we had some interesting releases. Well, not really releases. The contracts expired of Mercedes Martinez, Alex Alejandros, and Matt Taven, and they did not renew the contract in AEW. So they are now free agents. Of course, Mercedes Martinez has announced that 2026 will be her last year, and she's had a hell of a career. Uh, but Taven is, a very good wrestler, in my opinion. Alejandros is a great hype man, worked a lot with Ray Phoenix and Penta. I don't see, maybe I don't see WWE hiring Alejandros because they're not going to hire a specific hype man when they've got, but I could see Taven going to NXT. I could see Mercedes Martinez showing up at Royal Rumble, to be honest with you. But more importantly, you have to look at. I'm interested in hearing. Look, Matt Taven's gone. Mike Bennett's still there. His partner. There are other wrestlers that are not used in AEW or ROH anywhere near as often as they should be. Are we seeing a change of guard here in AEW? And do you agree with it? Because we've also had, you look at the 2025 signings, we've had an influx of wrestlers come in that are appearing on the shows every week.
Yeah.
I would say if it was to be a changing of the guard, it would have had to be 3 people who were more important than what these are, because, Mercedes and Taven very rarely show up on AEW.
Oh, I
I was
don't think
kind of
Mercedes Martinez has wrestled in AEW ROH for better part of
she
2 years now.
wrestled, or she was doing something either early last year or late the year before. There was that whole thing with her and who was she? It was her and I can't think of the other 2, but there was the one.
Sheeta, I think.
Yeah, and there was I know there was something going on with them, but it was only for like 2 matches, and that was it. She's not been there at all.
No,
So
she's
with her
no.
gone, Taven gone, they're ROH more than anything. Alex, though, on the other hand, I was kind of surprised at, because he's hyped every luchador in AEW except for maybe Hechicero.
Yeah, like he was just on Dynamite last week, I think.
Yeah, but is that really do you need that cost? Like,
No, you
so
don't.
I think what Kelson, what you were saying on the changing the guard, I get what you're getting at too, is some of the unused crud, and I don't mean that in a derogatory sense to any of these performers, but it's just
Unused crud
overhead.
is not a
Yeah.
derogatory term.
um, so like all of
Man,
this
Oh God.
what do
unused
you say about me when you're talking about me with people?
unused overhead, I guess, is a better way to, that's what I meant. Like, or like, it's an
Now you're
expense
just
you don't
speaking in
really
cold
need.
numerics. You want to go
Yeah,
join
yeah.
TKO? Yeah, geez.
Mercedes, he's not using. She's on her way out. Matt Taven's 40,
They're
and
excess,
like
yeah,
Matt, he's
excess
bringing in
baggage.
Tony's bringing in younger people to build around. And I think Matt Taven will be great in TNA. WWE's not going to bring him into NXT because he's 40. Matt Taven is a great performer. I'm bummed he didn't get a run because I enjoyed a couple singles matches he did get to see. But Alex, like, you just don't need a hype man. You
No,
just don't. You don't. I mean, the luchadors can get over on their performances. They don't need a hype man. He fit early, but he's just not needed anymore. So when you're making salary cap room for other performers or just cutting expenses just because there's the cost value analysis is just very low on them, this
yeah,
stuff's going to happen, and TK lets contracts expire as opposed to releasing people, especially
yeah,
Right.
performers that probably aren't going to get similar work for what he's paying them.
Yeah, I mean,
So that's just how he does stuff.
who was the last person that TK outright released? Was it CM Punk?
I think it was
yeah.
Punk.
Yeah.
Unless a couple people asked for releases, I think that were very rare were granted. But yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
just Punk.
Wait, was the one from Bear Country before or after Punk
Yeah, he
or
was
whatever?
released.
He
Yeah,
was fired.
I mean
Well, I
released
guess
for
Punk was
cause.
fired too. Those were terminated with cause. Yeah, they weren't even
Yeah,
just
that,
released
yeah,
early.
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah.
the
That's right.
the thing with
Yeah.
these contract expirations, this isn't a new thing. You know, we saw this at around year three. We saw it in the fourth year. We see it every year where, he signs people to 2 to 4 year deals and, you know, he uses them when he can, but if there's someone who's not really being used and, but Mercedes Martinez, Matt Taven, they're great talents, but Mercedes Martinez, she's already said it's her last year. Matt Taven, he's not old, but he's older. Uh, and if they're not being used, you can't just keep paying people forever just because, oh, they're they're a good talent. Like if you're not
Right.
using them, it's not. You can't just keep paying them.
Right. Well, that brings up a point because you've got one of the guys that they keep paying and they're not using, and that's Chris Jericho. And there's others. I mean, Britt Baker,
Not
Danhausen.
anymore.
So what do you mean not anymore?
Chris's contract's done as of December 31st.
He
Yeah,
as a but but he's still on the
but
AEW roster page.
yes,
So
Oh,
he's
I've been
Because
waiting. I've been
the
waiting to talk
intern
about
that
this.
manages that is off right now. That's why he's still there.
there you go. But anyway, but here's the thing: is it goes back to the point we were just talking about is that there are wrestlers that AEW isn't using. Britt Baker,
hmm
Nyla Rose. I mean, obviously now Nyla Rose is a different kind of case because Nyla is backstage and she's been very vocal about what she's doing backstage and how much she enjoys it. So that's something you're going to be looking at. But with all the wrestlers that AEW has that are not being used, including Chris Jericho for whatever reason, is Chris Jericho going to stay with the company and make a big return? I don't know. But he's 55 years old. There's not a whole heck of a lot that he needs to do to cement his legacy in AEW or anywhere else.
I don't know if he comes back. I don't see him coming back as much of a wrestler anymore. He's talked about doing commentary. He's talked about being Tony's right hand man a little bit, along with Dan O'Brien, and I could totally see that. But there are some people that Tony does need to release, like Danhausen and Britt. But I
Right.
really want to see Jericho come back,
Well, and I
but
think
as a
No,
producer,
I could see
no.
Jericho getting a 6-month contract for WWE so he can do whatever he's got to do there, get inducted to the Hall of Fame, then coming back to AEW and being commentary. Everybody hated the learning tree thing, but he could come back and mentor some people because, what hasn't he done? But I could see that how it goes. I just don't think he's going to stay away from AEW forever.
Well, there were
Jericho,
people that did like the learning tree for whatever reason. I personally like this New York Minute part.
Yes,
I
kind
thought
of like
those
the
were
Learning Tree.
hysterical.
I like
One
Learning Tree
important
at
thing with
first.
Jericho, he's always said he doesn't want a retirement run. Like he doesn't want that, okay, I'm gonna retire at this
Wait,
point. He
wait,
doesn't
wait,
want
wait,
that Sting moment.
wait a
Like
minute. Wait a minute. You're saying that, but I've not heard that. So where are you getting that from?
I've heard this from interviews and other stuff he's done. Like he said he's not really like when he's done, he just wants to it be a match, he just takes his boots off and leaves them in the ring. Not one of these, planned out things like I'm retiring this day or, a career versus whatever match. He just wants to have his final match, put his boots in the ring and go.
And that's probably what he's going to do in WWE. Basically, the only reason I see him going back to, like I said, is to get a program that gets him to WrestleMania so he can get inducted to the Hall of Fame, and then he'll end his WWE career like that because he's going to get put in there. But as long as he's in AEW, he's not.
Well, I'm about to
WWE
say the
worries
most.
me about how they'll book that, but that's just me.
If I was a betting man, I would bet Chris Jericho shows up at the Royal Rumble, and I would bet he has a match at WrestleMania, possibly a retirement match. I think Chris wants to go out on the biggest stage. I think he's entitled to that, regardless of how the last bit of his run went. But I don't think it's going to be a long, drawn out thing. I think he wants to do some runs with WWE. I would be surprised if he came back into AEW Creative, though. I would not be surprised if he stayed as a member of WWE Creative, either as an occasional
Mm,
on-air talent
I
or
disagree.
agent or manager. It's okay. But I would not be surprised if he stays at WWE.
I just don't. I don't know. I don't think Jericho and Triple H get along that well. He was always more of a Vince guy, and I think Chris pitches a lot of ideas, and Triple H is probably going to turn them down. I think he's better off with AEW because AEW is more open minded at stuff, and I just don't see him gelling well with TKO.
Yeah, it,
WWE bringing in Jericho is doing it to make money off of his retirement tour. He will not be brought in, and then they
Exactly.
have to figure out what to book with him. So if he goes there, the whole thing is how much money can they make on his retirement tour? Chris will have some say in what that is. That he's not. That's not going to be a one sided thing. But he will not be a performer where there is ambiguity about what he's doing.
And if you believe the rumors, Vince might be coming back.
Let's not go there. But
ugh.
I doubt that,
I will
but
say this: there's one thing that we haven't discussed really. We've touched on it, but we haven't really discussed it with Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho is 55 years old, and you know what that means? He's perfect for a
It's
long
he means
WWE main event run because there's nothing that WWE likes more than
mm-hmm.
their nostalgia tours. I'm sorry. I mean,
He'll be the next world champ.
it's a tribalistic thing to say, but Braun Breaker, he
they're
made it.
literally
He
doing the things that killed WCW.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's not tribalistic if it's true.
Braun
Well,
Baker, even in kayfabe, made a statement this week saying WWE has all these 80-year-olds running around, and I got to take them down.
Braun's going to beat Punk at Mania for the belt. That's the program they're setting up.
that's the program. Uh,
I sure hope. I don't know.
if he
It's
doesn't
it.
if he
He's
doesn't get killed by Punk before then, because oh
if he
my God,
doesn't get dropped on his head again. Yeah.
that
Good
botch from
lord.
yesterday.
That
Oh
match
boy,
Oh
had two
God.
really scary botches. Otherwise, it was a good match, but
that
those were
Hurricane
oof,
Rana and the
man.
Porter was all on Punk.
Yeah.
He was
Was it?
not
Because it looked
positioned.
like I think it was
He
on
his
purpose because it looked like Breaker slipped or tripped up
No.
or
If
something.
you watch it, and there's actually been some videos about it, Punk's positioning, he had his legs on the wrong side of the ropes for that move, and
Yeah.
I did notice that.
there was no way that Braun Breaker or anybody could execute that move because Punk was in the completely incorrect position.
Yeah. I mean, it's
What a
amazing
skit.
that more botches don't happen, especially in AEW, considering the stuff they tried to do. But,
Well,
those were scary. Fortunately, I read they're both okay.
yeah. I mean, look, when you
Yikes.
compare AEW to WWE, I've said this before and I'll say it again. AEW definitely should have more injuries, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And they should definitely have more botches. Why? Because WWE and AEW, when you compare the actual time in ring, AEW spends over the course of a year, there's literally probably more than twice as much actual wrestling on AEW. When you take the TV shows and the pay per views and the amount of wrestling that is done on these shows, I mean, you're talking about more time spent in the ring is going to result in more injuries and more botches. It's just, it's
Yeah.
common sense.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm
anyway,
glad they're all right.
yeah. I did want to go to Willow Nightingale winning the TBS championship. So now she is the women's one half of the women's tag team title holders. She's the TBS championship holder. She's also the Adult Swim booty champion with Orange Cassidy. So congratulations, Willow Nightingale, 3 belts. Mercedes loses yet another belt. I've been on record many times. I know I sound like a broken record. I am not a fan of any AEW talent having more than one AEW belt at a time. So when I look at this picture of Willow Nightingale holding the TBS championship and the women's tag team championship, my first thought is we got to get one of those off of her really soon.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I love Willow, but I thought there were some better people to eventually put it on, and I really thought that the TBS title was going to be the last one to fall, but I was wrong again.
Well, look, I know that we've had our discussions about Mercedes Monet. I think I called her Martinez earlier, but Mercedes Monet. And look, I don't care what anybody says. She has worked her tail off putting people over. I mean, everybody that goes into a match where Mercedes Monet in 2025 has come out looking like a better wrestler than they were going in. And I will die on that hill. Maybe in 2024, she got off to a little bit of a rocky start with her promos and her wrestling matches, especially the one with Britt Baker. But I will die on the hill saying that Mercedes Monet makes wrestlers better.
Oh, yeah. She's dialed in now.
Sutton, have you come around on Mercedes yet?
No way. On it.
Well,
I'll just say this. I'll just say this. Everybody makes a great big deal about her having all these titles and how they help these promotions. I say bullshit because she's never gone back and defended those titles. She took them and ran with them and disappeared. It does
I
nothing for them after one
well,
show, maybe.
That
Sorry.
is bullshit. Actually,
that is
she's made
completely
multiple
false.
appearances.
Yeah,
You
you
pulled
just
you
you
pulled a
need to
grenade. Yeah.
stop.
Yeah, I mean, she's made
You
appearances
can't
at
back
Rev
that up.
Pro. She's gone back to, what was it? I think the company in Italy, the one in like Scandinavia. Like, she has gone back and defended. And the whole deal with her losing these titles now, losing the Rev Pro, losing the TBS, probably the CMLL, in the next few months, losing those bigger titles will make it when she goes to those smaller companies to defend, she's going to be more desperate to keep them. And it's going to bring more interest to those shows to see, does she retain? Does she lose another title? Like, saying she hasn't helped these companies at all, or it was just a one-time thing, just
If you
demonstrably
if
false.
you if you look on a lot of the companies that Mercedes Monet has appeared in, the president of the company has issued a statement just saying how wildly appreciative they are and what she has done for their promotions. Uh, yeah, son, you're way off base. Just way off
I
base.
just,
There's only so many weeks in the year, and if
I
you
get
look at
that.
how many matches Mercedes Moné has had this year in AEW, and how many matches she's had overall, I mean, she's wrestled well over a dozen matches in other companies, and she has defended in other countries as well.
Well, I'll just say she's not any better than she was in WWE, and I just disagree. That's just, everybody's got their own opinion about it, but that's just, I just, there's nothing she can do other than losing every title and rebuilding herself back up and changing how she is
Right.
that would make me.
I am not disagreeing, and I respect your opinion. I respect everybody's opinion. But when you say something that's wrong, you know, let's
Yeah.
talk about facts. What you said was 100% wrong. That was
Yeah.
not opinion. You
Exactly.
tried to you tried to present something as a fact that was false. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's the
I agree.
truth. So now here's the thing: we got Willow Nightingale. I said earlier she's got to lose one of these belts. Now that's just my opinion, but who we don't have. When you look at Chris Statlander, maybe you have Tekla as a contender there. When you look at Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron, I don't really see any contenders that have been built up
Well,
for that.
that's too because of the C2. I mean, you didn't have time to do anything else.
Sure, sure,
They've had
I
one
agree.
title defense. I mean, it's going to come down to you've added a new tag team on the women's division. You've got some good tag teams that came out of this. It wouldn't be hard to start a program with them. I think that's the one honestly, I think she's going to lose them both quicker than you might think because I don't see her being the TBS title for very long. And like you said a couple weeks ago, I think that they're not the ultimate tag team. They're just not been together long enough, and they just don't
They're
gel
filler.
enough for me. Yeah, and until it was fun that they won it because they're the fun team. They're the ones that everybody was behind because of how much fun they are. Of the
Right,
two, for me personally, I like Harley Cameron better than I do Willow because Harley to me has so much potential, and she has so many things that she does to make her stand out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I have a feeling that if to me, I think the team to beat them will probably be what are they calling them now? Penelope and or that group. They're called. They
oh,
give them a name.
Mega
mega
powers,
problems.
right?
There you go.
Mega
I think they're
problems.
going to be the one to take them. I think
God,
I
I
I
really
hope
think
agree.
not.
they
They
are.
should. Yeah. In my
I
opinion, it's time to put something on Megan Bain, whether it be a singles or a tag. It's something. She's dominant. She deserves something.
And she could be the one to take the TBS title. Honestly,
I was going to say that.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
I
more sense to me.
I think the easiest thing to do is have Willow do the whole open challenge deal for the TBS title. Let her get a few defenses, and in the meantime, you have more tag teams facing off and getting more established. So then, when Willow does drop the title to, I would say Megan Bain would be ideal at whatever their special TV show is in say February. That gives Willow a decent little 6, 7 week run. She can defend the title 4 or 5 times. Megan Bain wins. That gives them a hey, I beat one half of the tag team champions. It gives you a tag team title match for Revolution, maybe, or in
Yeah.
between.
Well, look, Chris, when you're looking at AEW, we've got three events coming up in the next 3 months, 2.5 months. You got Maximum Carnage, which is next week.
Yeah.
Then you've got Grand Slam Sydney, which is in February, and then Revolution, which is the next pay-per-view and the first pay-per-view of the year in March. I wouldn't be surprised to see Willow and Harley defend not the TBS, the tag team titles in Sydney, because that's where Harley is from, and is Australia,
That
of
Yeah.
would
course.
definitely make sense.
I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody step up. to challenge her for the TBS title at Maximum Carnage. I personally believe that it's going to be Julia Hart that challenges her first, because if you remember, Willow won the TBS title off of Julia Hart uh, back in 2023, I believe it was, or no, it was
I
2024. You
I
know,
forgot about
so
that.
so that's where it was. Remember, Julia Hart was injured. I personally have always believed that Julia Hart was supposed to lose the title to Mercedes Moné, because if you remember when Mercedes Moné came into AEW, the first person to attack her was Julia Hart. That was set up, but then she got injured, so they had to do a pivot. And Willow won the title. She kept it for, I believe, 35 days, the TBS title, before she
Uh-huh.
lost it to Mercedes Moné. Another possibility would be for Mercedes Moné to put Willow over by challenging her maybe for Maximum Carnage, or even at Grand Slam Sydney, uh, for just to get another loss, to establish Willow Nightingale as, hey, she's this good that she beat the longest reigning TBS champion twice now.
What if you ran a program with them then?
That would be great. Uh,
So like what if Mercedes does win her belt back and then Willow like they do a couple series and it bounces a little between them. And so that gives them a chance. Well, it gives Mercedes a chance to really help solidify Willow as a top draw. And I think it's key too that the TBS title went on to Willow now to end the year on a high note like that. It was significant. It was a
right.
huge deal for her to go over Mercedes, and it was a great way to end the year. It's time to push. Willow's one of the top two or three, top three women at least in there for AEW. Great story with her. I'd love to see these two run a program. They didn't really get a true program for the title run. I'd love to see them go back and forth. I'd love to see, to your point, Kelson, she has an open challenge and Mercedes, I cash in my rematch clause or whatever. That would be
Right.
great. And then she wins it back, and then they go at it. I don't think the tag belts. I was going to chime in earlier until you said it, Kelson. Are going to go off until after Grand Slam because of Harley. I think Tony's going to give her a big, hero's welcome there.
Sure.
I don't know when after that, but I think you were spot on. I think they're going to hold those tag
Well,
belts for a
one other
while.
thing that you can do, look, Barry, when you look at the next big pay-per-view is Revolution, and it's not until March. You've
Yeah,
got a lot of time between now and Revolution to do a big story. I wouldn't be at all
yeah,
surprised. I mentioned Julia Hart earlier. All right. Why not have Julia Hart, Mercedes Monet, and Willow Nightingale in a three-way? Julia Hart never got her rematch either.
it's true.
I got a question
So,
about that. The Triangle did a promo. You said something about Chris Statler and probably be Tekla be the next one. That kind of is what she did in that. Who did Sky Blue and Julia challenge, or was it just a basic? We're going to kick everybody's ass in the tag division, because I don't remember that part of it.
if they challenge somebody, I don't remember it either, buddy.
Yeah, because I know they did it on the last show, but I just didn't remember if they had come out and said they're coming after the tag titles or not.
I think that what they were doing on that particular promo was just echoing Tekla.
Uh-huh. I think Tekla needs to be the leader of that group more. She's a better talker and stuff. I wouldn't mind seeing Tekla and Julia Hart be more of a tag team and see what they can do together.
Yeah, I was really upset that Sky Blue did not get her title. I would have much preferred for Julia and Sky Blue to win the initial tag team title, simply because Sky Blue has been there since almost the very beginning of AEW, and she's never had a title, and she's a workhorse, and she's really good. And I just, for that reason alone, I really do feel like Sky Blue needs a title. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe you're right, MK. Maybe Tekla and Julia Hart team up, and Sky Blue goes after Willow.
I thought I always like call them the evil doll twins or whatever. I thought they were going to be the ones to take the belts. I don't know when, but that was kind of who I had in my mind would be the next winners at some point after Grand Slam. Um, but I agree. I'd like to see Sky get a belt. I also I know Tekla's with the group because of her charisma, but I would like them to give a chance for Julia Hart and Sky Blue to talk on their own without the monotone twin stuff, because that's just it does nothing. It's just bad.
Yeah, it really is
But
bad.
I'd like to see, does Sky Blue have any charisma? She seems to in the ring. Like, what is she on the mic? Give Julia was starting to get some character after they split, when Malachi left, and then she's in this group now. I'd like to see them flesh the three of them out a little bit more
Yeah, I agree.
outside of Tech left. Yeah,
What remember the movie The Shining with Jack Nicholson? They had those two little girls standing at the end of the hallway. That's what the Sisters of Sin remind me of. They're kind of they're not scary, but they're kind of
yeah,
like disturbing, I guess is the best way of putting it. But
yeah.
they
Creepy.
don't really do much.
Yeah, I think they're trying to do like a whole weird sisters from Macbeth kind of thing, because in that they would sometimes talk together, and then sometimes they would, one would start and the other would finish. I just don't think it's one of those things that most people are really getting, and so it just seems a little clunky and strange, and the whole
Eh,
monotone,
eh,
it's not working for them.
Look, I'm a big fan of Julia Hart. I'm a big fan of Sky Blue. But I'm going to be
Same,
honest with
same.
you. It's just their promos. They're just not working. It's almost uncomfortable to watch them. Just monotone say
I could
stuff
honestly
and
see Sky leave. I could see her go out on her own.
yeah, that's true.
Maybe,
Uh,
because they could well, they could do that, but they probably wouldn't. But they could just play this all off as she's been under the influence of the spray, and she turns face and goes off on her own.
Just
or
give them
teams
some
with their best
character,
friend Queen
man.
Aminata. So
Yeah,
we get the
just give them
chemistry
some
going.
character. There's no reason that
Yeah, that could work.
Tekla is the only one that's bombastic.
Yeah,
Like,
just let
if
them
Sky
talk
Blue's got
normally.
something, give her. It's like, what I'm going to do after that. Just like shrug off the stupid doll stuff. Enough of this. And just cut a promo. Let her go crazy. See what happens.
Yeah, let them just
Absolutely.
talk how they
You don't know what they
normally
can do
would.
with
Let them,
yeah. Give a chance to succeed or fail. I mean, it's as simple as that. I'm really interested because the women's division right now is wide open. Hyann and Maya World are wonderful, great additions. You've got Zeta Steel and Story Denali. You can't forget about her in Ring of Honor. Um, Lena Cross is apparently coming really soon. There's also a chance for Charlie or Dakota Kai to come over. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I think the women's division is poised to overtake the men's division as far as what's drawing the most interest. I'm sorry, but I really do feel that because it's new and it's fresh, and they've got until the middle of March to really work up some really good programs. And AEW and Tony Khan, they really need to pay attention to the women's division. I really do feel that because they've got a good roster and there's more coming. I really believe that there's more coming. And we'll see where it goes. Well, let's go on to our potpourri section. Does anybody have a potpourri? Anything that they want to talk about in the pro wrestling world? Or if you want to talk about what you had for dinner last night, I guess that's fine too.
I do.
Go for it.
I wanted to bring this up when we were talking about it, but I didn't get a chance to. I think we may have all been duped.
No,
Jericho,
no, no.
Chris Jericho, by all intents and purposes, and if you listen to most news outlets, and if you listen to the teasing of WWE themselves, was supposed to show up last night on the Stranger Things edition of Raw. Guess what didn't happen?
He
I
didn't
think that
show
was
up?
WWE. I think it was WWE wishful thinking.
Yeah, because that.
I really did.
Who was it that made Pierce made like a reference to the walls coming or
Yeah,
something to
yeah,
that,
Coming
exactly.
down, but
and then when the
yeah.
wall, and then he came up with this really lame ass excuse.
It was the
Yeah.
Stranger Things reference.
Yes, yeah, right.
No, actually that was that was very deliberate because what I heard was that tickets weren't selling so well for that show, and when that little nugget got dropped, guess what happened to ticket sales? Because everybody thought they were going to see Jericho, and
Why
now
would?
people who went.
But see, that was always blows my mind.
It's so
Maybe I'm
hypocritical.
just jaded, or maybe I'm just in the Jericho vortex. But why would you buy tickets just to see Chris Jericho? I
I
I,
don't
I
know.
Well,
don't understand it.
To be
but it's
honest,
so hypocritical.
it's a tribal thing. It's a tribal thing because WWE fans honestly think that if Jericho shows up and they get to go see him, it's getting one over on Tony Khan. Because
But it's
we've seen, that's it. Because they want Jericho back in WWE so that they can say, look, the AEW must really still suck because now Jericho came back to us.
Well, I will say this, Sutton, and I mean this in all sincerity, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. But look, I manage the three wrestling um, subreddits: Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, X, whatever, Discord. Look, you know what I've not heard anybody say, and I can say this with full confidence. I have not heard anybody say, "Gee, I wished Chris Jericho would be on AEW this week." I even with everything going on, I have seen a couple of posts or comments being said is like, would it be something if Jericho showed up on Dynamite this week?
yeah.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah,
something,
I was
but
gonna say that he's gonna like
but it's not because people want to see Jericho. It's because they want to put the screws to WWE.
But no, I don't want to put
Yeah,
the
Right.
screws to anybody.
I
I just like it would be just my luck, Jericho hater that I am, for him to show up with that shit-eating grin of his, going, "Hi guys."
yeah, like
And I
See,
would
he's known as
absolutely
the
love
ultimate
that
troller
because
himself.
I don't have any ill will towards Jericho. I know some people really don't like him,
I
and
don't.
that's okay. Yeah, and that's okay. I don't have any ill will, but I do think the Jericho situation really shows why it's important that you have more than one national wrestling organization. Chris tried to repackage himself a couple times, and they put in a good effort on a push, and it's just not working out with the AEW audience anymore. And his contract's going to be up. And if he still wants to perform, he's going to go to WWE and he's going to do a retirement run there that would just not hit the same way in AEW. And I think that's a good thing. I don't see a world where Chris coming back on TV as a performer in the ring, the fans are going to want to see. I wished he had transitioned to commentary. I really enjoyed him when he used to do that as kind of a heel Bobby Heenan type commentator, but he wants to do other stuff. But again, I think this shows why it's good. You have two promotions. It's not
Right.
working out one place. He can go somewhere else, and hopefully it'll work out there.
Well, Barry, let me give you a suggestion here, and I'm interested to hear
Yeah.
your opinion on this because I was thinking about it. If AEW were to retain Chris Jericho,
Uh-huh.
I mean, he's 55 years old. He could still go in the ring, but not for very much longer. But I
Right.
think, I've heard people say commentary. I've heard people say like having Jericho in a role similar to MVP, for example, with the
Yeah.
Hurt
Hmm.
Syndicate. But what about in kayfabe as an EVP?
I maybe I
No.
don't know. I think the point is just like Chris he's kind of run his course in AEW, you know.
Yeah,
So maybe it would work. I can't say it wouldn't, but I think the odds are stacked against really anything they try to do at this point. That's my opinion.
I respect that. I
Yeah,
respect that. No, I get
I
it.
could be convinced otherwise, but that's just kind of how
I'm
I see
kind of the
things.
same way you are. On one hand, I mean, I think that is Chris Jericho as Chris Jericho, the ever evolving wrestling personality, may have run his course, but Chris Jericho,
Actually, if he was just Chris Jericho as Chris Jericho, I think that would actually be interesting. Like no gimmick, like that's just Chris Jericho, and like that's his shtick. That could be funny. But I
It
get
just
your point.
I could, but I just say like if he came out like as if he weaseled his way somehow, some way into becoming an EVP, I think that that would be entertaining. I really do
It
believe
could be,
that.
yeah.
It could be.
Yeah, they could do something fun.
It could be, but it also could, you know, fall flat on its face, you know. You never know
There
It,
until you
are
try.
many good options that if they weren't in AEW probably would have worked well. The same story in another promotion. I think in this case the fan base, it's just a tough hill to climb no matter how good it is.
Yeah. Well, look, does anybody else have a potpourri?
I mean, I'll do the usual kind of New Japan roundup thing because we had Wrestle Kingdom roughly 3 nights ago. Um, Three key matches to watch out of that if you haven't. Saya Kamatani versus Shuri. That was a great match. I admittedly, I've seen both women before, but not, not as much as like Kelson has. I knew it was going to be a good match, but they freaking delivered in a big way. Um,
It was
and
too
then
short.
it, yeah, another 5, 7 minutes, I think would have really put it over into that, like, okay, that was friggin' awesome. Instead of just like, that was really good. But we did get two match of the year contenders. Uh Konosuke Takeshita versus Yota Tsuji was just all out frickin' battle. Those two threw everything they had at each other. And in the
Right.
end, I don't want to spoil it, but it was one of those, that's how surprising ending, but also the perfect ending somehow. Uh, and
Yeah, but to
then
what? To what? I mean, you're not spoiling anything. The event took place on what was it, Saturday night. But
true,
you know what
I get
we know what I have a feeling I know what you're talking about, but you haven't said what you're talking about. So other people that are
Su-
listening to you probably don't know what you're talking about.
Yoda Tsuji winning with the first move every young lion learns in the dojo against the outsider. Like winning the title with the fundamental move of every young lion. It
Okay,
just
but you know what you're talking about. Nobody else knows what you're talking about. What
Yeah, you're beating
fundamental
around the
move are
bush.
you talking about? Just say
Boston
it. What
crab,
are you doing? Okay.
the Boston crab.
yeah, I was wondering, given what I don't know if who knows what's kayfabe and what isn't anymore. Given what Yoda said about AEW, how do you feel about that?
Did you just say Kafabi?
Fabian.
I I think that was
Kafabi.
one of those
Yes, I
Sorry.
statements
just
that
said
was,
I just said kayfabe. Yes.
You can say Kafabi.
that's the way
I
we're
That's
don't
worth
know
saying it
why.
5,000.
now
I,
on.
I
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah, that's worth some
why
Adam
I
Coles
think
right
that
there.
is hysterical.
Kayfabe.
Um,
There you go. That is
A
worth. How
Fabi.
many Adam Coles was that worth?
5,000.
5,000 Adam Coles for Kafabi.
but
I don't know
I
why I
think
just found
those
that. Yeah,
comments
that cracked
were
me up.
I
Fabi.
think those comments were one of those where he was in character, but there was also a little personal truth to it. And I understand, O- Osprey and Okada were big names for New Japan, and they went to AEW, and Takeshita showed up for the G1 and he showed up for big matches, but all the other time he was in AEW. And even when he did go to Japan, he made time for DDT, but not New Japan. Didn't even, like, I mean, they had a Korakuen show the road before. He didn't show up for that. So I think the comments were a little bit warranted, but definitely character more than like outright disdain for AEW itself.
Oh, like
Right.
what Ron Breaker said.
Well, let me ask this: how many people watch Wrestle Kingdom 20 that's here?
It
I
was
didn't,
a
but I read about it.
it
Yes
was
or
a
no
pretty
question? How?
insane number. I
No.
mean, The
No, I
I did
mean,
donut
not.
sold out.
how many people in the podcast watched Wrestle Kingdom 20? I guess
Oh,
I should
oh,
have been.
sorry.
I
I
did
did,
not.
of course.
I didn't. I will eventually, but I didn't.
I didn't. I was too busy learning how to mispronounce kayfabe.
And there you go.
It,
Kafabi,
if
Kafabi,
you
whatever.
if you don't have time
Kafubi.
to watch the whole show, which I understand people don't, I would say the three matches to watch: Saya Kamatani versus Shuri, Kinosuke Takeshita versus Yota Tsuji, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada, because I, that was one of those matches. If you know the history, it meant so
Right.
much, and some of the tribute moves that Tanahashi did to Shibata and Nakamura mean that much. But even if you, I think it's one of those matches, even in a vacuum, just on its own, it was really good. Like, they told a great story, and knowing their history just enhances the story of the match they told.
I do want to break in here because EPW show is in the chat, and he did say that he enjoyed Wrestle Kingdom 20 and said hello to everybody. If you EPW show was on. Conrad was on the podcast last week. We enjoyed having him. He was doing his own podcast earlier tonight, and I will be, after this show is edited, I will be going and checking out that podcast. He did say that Aaron Wolf and Evil was a good match too. He enjoyed that. If you go on to Everything Pro Wrestling on YouTube. You can check out EPW Show's podcast. And of course, he is our partner on Discord, and Conrad's overall just a great guy. Everybody that is that participates on the Everything Pro Wrestling side of the hub is just outstanding. I enjoy their shows. They're very well organized. They're very funny. I do enjoy Conrad singing. He does not do it often enough. But anyway, uh, yeah, I did watch Wrestle Kingdom 20. I watched the first two matches, and that was really, I really, I, I'm not a big. While I respect New Japan Pro Wrestling, I am not a fan of their matches. They're just too slow and plotting for me, my personal taste. I was very invested in the Saya Kamatani and Shuri match, and so I watched that and went to bed. And I have not watched anything else. I probably will go back and watch the Takeshita match, and I'm pretty interested now in checking out the Wolf versus Evil. Isn't Evil also one of those guys that may not be available? I think he's
His contract's
leaving.
coming up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
his is coming up
but
in like a few months, I
yeah,
think.
but I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've heard that Tony Khan's really not a fan of Evil's work.
I don't. Evil's really one of those guys. He's a good wrestler, but
That's correct, Kelson.
all of the House of Torture stuff, I think, has overshadowed his wrestling ability to a point. And the Aaron Wolf match, for me, it was one of those. I liked it because in the end, the good guy won, but there was just so much House of Torture BS throughout. Like, it kind of just one of those, like, okay, I'm enjoying it. Now I'm hating it. I'm enjoying it. Now I'm hating it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, Kelson, you're correct. Tony's not a fan of his work.
I
Both
thought I heard that
Brian
somewhere.
Alvarez has mentioned that a couple times. Sean Ross Sapp a couple times too. Yeah, he's not. Tony's not a big fan.
That's interesting because I have really not heard Tony being reported saying I'm not a big fan of this person very often.
You know, yep.
yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Evil when he was with Lij, but yeah, he's one of those guys who the House of Torture stuff has hurt his overall ability, I think.
Okay. Well, does anybody else have a potpourri that they want to share with anybody? Share with us.
I
I
know
have
I
one.
already. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead. I already went. You go first.
I have one real quick. I was very disappointed that AEW did. Sorry, WWE did not let Nakamura go at least over to Kingdom to Wrestle Kingdom and at least be visible. He's a low level guy. I thought it would have shown great respect to let him go over and at least watch and be seen, but that's how things work sometime in business, I guess.
Did
Putting the screws
Nakamura?
to AEW was more important.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it was putting the screws to AEW, but did Nakamura say that he tried to do everything he could to get over there, but he was booked in matches
Yeah.
all of a sudden? I guess.
Well, he wasn't booked in matches. He was booked to do
They had
a
him a 1 minute
1 minute
segment.
segment. So it's one
For
of those
Pete's sake.
yeah, he was booked at the last second, so he couldn't make it. Like it's one of those, oh no, we really need him to do this. No, you're just being petty. He could have done it next week.
It's a shame. I mean,
It
look,
is. It is.
when it comes to AEW and WWE, look, both companies could do petty stuff, and they have. I mean, when you think about it, AEW pushed back their uh, blood and guts from May, June, July. That's when every blood and guts is taking place. They pushed it back to 2 weeks before War Games. Why do you think that they did that? Because they knew that blood and guts, they have more freedom to do more stuff and would make War Games look weak.
And it proved right.
I mean, that's just
Yeah,
strategic marketing.
yeah,
But
and
but
and
they
Well,
EP
but
and
I get what
EPW
he's
show,
saying.
by the way, EPW show also said something that I was actually thinking too about Nakamura. He could have sent the video, and that's the truth. He could have sent the video, but
Would
maybe he
they let him?
was not allowed to say even send the video. Yeah, exactly. We don't know.
Yeah, the unfortunate
I
thing is there's going to be more of this because there is a generation of performers that are all starting to retire now. And we saw it even start with Sting. Lex Luger couldn't be there. Sting couldn't do Luger's Hall of Fame thing. Like there's going to be more of this, and I think it's to your point, Kelson. It's a bummer because there's a generation of guys who are all retiring now, and they only get to do this once.
Yeah, but look,
And
didn't Billy Gunn
corporate
go to?
politics are kind of getting in the way.
Didn't Billy
Oops.
Gunn make an appearance at WWE and they kind of threw him under the bus
uh the
unnecessarily?
Yes.
Hall of Fame
I
when
don't know.
DX went in and Triple H was like, "Oh yeah, now you work for that pissant company." Like Triple H was the one who started the pettiness flat out.
You know,
Yeah.
Well,
So
it's unfortunate regardless.
if that
I
had
So
not happened, I think we may have seen AEW do more work with WWE. There's really no, they're they are competitors, but they're not in competition with each other. I guess
I
that's the
mean,
best way I can.
I know Ed said, Tony Khan would have been cool with him doing something with John Cena. I'm just gonna say,
oh, it is what it is.
it definitely seems
Yeah,
like one is blocking more than the other.
I, I, this whole listen, it's business. They're both going to screw each other over.
Right.
it
Yeah.
You
is.
can argue blue in the face who's worse. It doesn't really matter. The bottom line is it sucks because there's people that deserve better that are unfortunately going to get stuck in this crossfire, and it's
Yeah.
dumb.
Well, Jess, I think you had an additional potpourri.
Yeah, just one little note here. Just jumping off since we've been talking about New Japan throughout this whole potpourri. Um, I would like to say that with a heavy heart, that with War Dogs joining forces with what's it?
The
Unmatched.
Kizo.
unaffiliated.
Yeah. With them forming that group, it is officially the end of one of the most long-running and significant stables of the modern era. R.I.P. Bullet Club.
Kayfabe.
Kafabe. Oh my gosh.
It's the what is that, Italian?
I think it's French. What is it, Jess? You're the one
It's
who made it
the
up.
Fabe. Yeah, it's a cafabe. It's Italian.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
Cafabe.
Kafabe.
Yeah, it's
I
Italian.
thought
Papantu.
I thought Kay Fabe was the new announcer AEW hired.
unless it's Kafabe, and then it's Spanish.
Kayfabe is not a new announcer. It's Chris
Yeah,
Jericho's new
that's
gimmick.
his new. That's his
New
new
alter
gimmick.
ego.
Kayfabe. He has like a pencil
Kafabe.
mustache, and he wears like a matador cape for no reason.
It's a Kayfabe.
It's like he's always handing out skewers, like pork skewers, everybody for no reason. You want a kafabe?
Kafabe.
Oh,
You are never going to live. I don't know what it is with the women on this podcast say some of the damnedest things.
if we just
You know,
create the
They
between.
do.
greatest comedy wrestler of all time,
Kafabe.
Hey, it's a Kafabe.
That's a kafabe.
This is my brother
No,
Luigi.
wait, Kelson. Every time he walks into the room, everybody has to stop and go, "It's a kafabe," and
It's
then
a
go back to whatever they're doing.
You can't get away without saying.
Dude, you
You
could
got to do the
you could get
Kafabe
that
song.
you could get that over with the crowd. Like everybody would wait. Here it is. Okay, it's a kafabe.
It's a Kafabe. Chris Jericho. We have just written. AEW needs to keep Chris Jericho just for the Kafabe gimmick. We have just written the Kafabe gimmick.
he would kill it. He would kill it.
I am
It's
trying to say goodbye to Bullet Club, and you got me.
He's got a pencil mustache. He wears a beret. He wears a
Kafabe to
black
him, and he'll be all
beret,
right.
and he wears a
You know what,
matador
Jeff?
cape for
I
no
need
reason.
comedy. I already cried enough when Tanahashi retired. I don't want to be sad
Jeez.
about Bullet Club being gone too. Let us have
There
these
you
laughs.
go. There you go. It's a Kafabe. I tell you.
Yeah, Kafabe.
Next week we are all doing I'm Italian, so I can do it, but next week we are doing the entire podcast in really bad
Yes.
Wait,
It's a
Italian,
But what-
you know his
Italian
theme
accent.
song
You should
should
just
be,
leave
right?
it up to very bad accents because I have a very good German accent.
You know what his
okay.
theme song's going to be, right? Kafabe.
Whoa.
No,
Whoa.
no, it would be
No.
when
What?
the moon hits your eye like a
When the moon
pizza
hits your eye
it's
like a cold
kafabe.
pizza pie.
But you would change the lyrics so it's all wrestling, like when the knee hits your like Tony Storm's big fat thigh, it's kafabe.
Oh my God.
Okay.
There, that's
Alrighty.
it. That's the
Oh,
opening line. When
jeez,
a knee
no.
hits your
On that
eye,
note.
like Tony
Whoa.
Storm's big fat thigh, it's kafabe.
It's Tony Storm's
Kafabe.
big fat thigh.
Big fat thigh, it's kafabe.
It's a kafabe.
We got to get that on commentary.
Oh my God.
Danielson's next time Tony Storm gives somebody the button to the corner, Danielson's like, "Hey, that's a kafabe."
Tony Khan, you can mail your residual check for this idea to AEW Fan Hub.
We just named
Yeah,
the
go on
hip
our
attack
coffers here.
finisher,
It's a
the
kafabe.
kafabe. Thank you, Jess. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We need more women on this podcast. We really do, because they say the damnedest things. Oh, what was it?
Oh, we're gonna get letters about that.
All right, Sutton, we got to wrap up. My dogs are walking around demanding to be let out.
Yeah. Well, I have a very short kayfabe. Kayfabe. Listen to me, Jesus, potpourri.
It's
It's a
kafabe.
kafabe.
Buddy.
Just a very short one. It's not really a
Yeah.
discussion, but I think it goes with. Pro Wrestling Eve is doing a show in March called. What is it called? I can't remember. Wrestle Kingdom.
It's
Oh
called
my
Kafabe.
God.
Somebody
Yeah.
reboot Sutton or Kelson
Will
real quick.
yes, brain of art. Will Ospreay is a producer for Pro Wrestling for Pro Wrestling Eve. They are building a really, really strong card for this. Miyu Yamashita was just announced today. Harley Cameron, I believe Alex Windsor, Dakota Kai is in it. Chris Statlander is in it. This is going to be a fantastic show, and it's accessible because their shows are. They're in England, so they start in the afternoon, like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So, if you love women's wrestling, this would be a great show to watch. And that's that. MK, you need the mute, buddy. Anyway, that's our show for the week. Thank you for watching and listening. And we will be back next Tuesday night at 8:40. Conrad, you're welcome to join us next week.
Please do.
Please do. We
Yeah.
loved having you.
Yeah, it was
Really
great
did.
having you last
Yeah,
week.
it was so much fun. I really did enjoy it. I'm not just saying that because you owe me money or I owe you money. That was a kafabe. Um,
I was when you were saying earlier, oh man, what's it called? And somebody goes, it's called kafabe. I lost it.
it's just,
Uh,
I don't know.
I don't know who said it. They just said it.
It's,
It's kafabe.
it's late.
Yeah.
Barry,
Time to go
apologize
to
to your
bed.
dogs for me. We will be back on Tuesday of next week at 8:45 Eastern Time for another episode of Ignition, and we will try to do better. I just don't know what else to say.
We will try to do better. I
No, we
give this
won't.
show how many pictures of Adam Cole would we rate this show?
I would honestly, I would rate it around 6,300 Adam Coles.
6,300. Yeah,
Oh
it's
man, I'm
about right.
giving it
D, pl- a
75.
D, I'd
75.
be like
Wait,
6,700, a good D plus.
wait a minute, Chris.
67, 6,800.
Okay, Chris said 75. Was that bad?
No, 7,500.
Well, you said 75.
That's sorry.
You know, I'm like, man,
Don't try and
All right, we
confuse
got to
me
go.
with
We're out of
math.
time.
we gotta go. Everybody say goodnight to Eddie Kingston.
Good
Good
night, Eddie
night, Eddie
Kingston.
Kingston.
Hi, Daddy. We love you.
Arrivederci.
Good night, Eddie Kingston.
Arrivederci. Our flight is in.
Okay, Bob.
Che fame.
Wow.
Okay, I gotta go.
Man.